Alrighty, welcome back to episode 3 of the Nurse and Nurse Show. I am your host, Noah, and this is the second co-host.
I am Barbara, the nurse, the mother.
The nurse, and I'm the Nurse. Welcome back.
The maker of the Nurse.
That's kind of weird. Welcome back, y'all, to the show. So, let's see. This is episode 3. We're on episode 3 already.
Woo!
I hope you know that.
Thank you to all our followers and subscribers, international, local, so far local, national.
Oh my goodness. Yes. So just so everybody knows, we're going to be on all the platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, even our own webpage, the Buzzsprout webpage, which is at www.themerceandnurseshow.buzzsprout.com.
Awesome.
And you can find all the other platforms to go off of. Alrighty.
So, how's it going today?
Well, today, I think we should have, because I experienced this over the weekend when I was working, right?
Okay.
Difficult families.
Oh,
I think that is something a lot of nurses, especially in healthcare.
Yes.
Healthcare in general.
Exactly.
Had to deal with, right?
Yes.
So I know you have been a nurse for 25 plus years, right? So that's a lot of years in nursing.
Yes.
Especially working in a majority in long-term care.
Yes.
So in long-term care, you're dealing with patients who is on the end of life, right?
Yeah. And like their final stop. I take care of them. They're their final stop with me.
They do a pit stop before they finally,
before they either go
before they leave the world, right?
Yes.
Well, so I'm guessing if it's safe to say that there are families who aren't ready for end of life, right?
Are just rude people in general.
Exactly. Yeah. So what can you tell me about difficult family? What's something that sticks out to you that you remember the most?
I was thinking about this and I was kind of proud of myself. I get along with a lot of people, but there is one family, and this, I'm not lying. I'll start off real quick. So I had a family when I just started, and I took care of their dad. Now their dad had a really bad stroke. He couldn't talk, had aphasia. He had a G-tube, and they would come. He had twin sons. And so I was in my 20s back then, early 20s. So they must have been like in their late 30s, 40s. Anyways, so back in those days, nowadays you whip out your phone, you record. And back then they had video recorders.
Wait. You mean talk about the ones that they put the cassette, the big old tape in there,
and it
close it up so they can record?
And not the little camcorders. I'm talking, they looked like they were on KSAT news. Like they would come and they were so hateful. I don't know what it was.
Hateful to you, or everybody, or just you in particular?
Like me. And they would always come on the weekends. I worked once, and they would come, and the very first time they whipped that video camera in my face, and I would be like, and they were always.
So you're talking about like, how like nowadays when people are with the cameras in people's faces, but
this was like a news one.
This is like the big broadcast, the big old shebang. He's carrying the shoulder.
Yes, and I guess his twin brother was holding the cord, and you know how they touch it back, they go back and forth, and they were videotaping me, and they would, I guess, try to get a rise out of me. They were hateful, and only with me. And thank God back then, where I worked, it was small. It was family owned. And I remember I would call on Sundays to the boss. He was our administrator, but he was the owner. And I would say, Mr. So-and-so, the so-and-so's, I'm just going to say Smith. Mr. Smith's sons are here, and they are videotaping me. They're going to get me fired. And he would tell me, Barbara, you're not going nowhere. Don't worry. Thank God for him. Yeah. But yes, like I would say, sir, I need to change him. And they would be like, well, go ahead. We're going to do it. Go ahead.
We're going to record it while you do it.
And I would be like, and I was so young, and I was thinking, but your dad's going to be naked. Like, that's weird.
Like, that is kind of weird.
Yeah. Okay. And so I'm just going to put this out there. Like I said, this was over 20 years ago. So HIPAA was not like it was today.
Yeah.
So I remember people, we're from a small town. I remember my grandma, and on my mom's side, we're alike. We're the same sign, the same personality. I remember one day she goes, what's going on? You know, your grandma said you're having problems with his family.
I remember this story.
And
Oh my God, I remember this story.
I said, and I called her Mama, okay? That's my grandma, Mama. I said, Mama, they're so hateful. Like my stomach would hurt going, because I knew they would be there every Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's like they were just mean to me. And so small town, she goes, well, what's his name? Your resident. So, small town, now, mind you, this is, no one come at me. This is literally 20 something years ago. And I said, his name's, Tom Smith. And she goes, what? And does he have children? I'm like, yeah. And and one of his daughters was hateful. Like they would just find anything wrong and make me do it, but they wanted me to do it.
Yeah.
CNA, anything. And I would. And anyway, so I said, yeah, he has a daughter. I'm just going to say, Lisa. And she goes, oh, really? And turns out, back in the days, like when you had like these, Hispanics had these big weddings. She goes, that's my comadre. So basically saying like
what's that? What's the
it's
comadre?
like basically she stood up in her wedding. Like that's her wedding. And so one day, my grandma just went, okay. Because I was like really upset and I was brand new. I was scared to
I
death.
can imagine. You're just a brand new nurse, right?
And so I remember a couple weekends later, here comes the daughter. And I'll call her Mrs. Smith, the daughter. And she goes, and she would be like, hello. She would talk to me real. I said, oh, hi. And she goes, I didn't know your grandma was, Miss Mamo. And I said, yeah, that's my grandma. I said, yeah, this is my mom is Diane and that's her daughter. Well, I found out later, my mom told me that my grandma saw her at one of the local, the little local stores and basically set her straight and said, that is my granddaughter. And like, let her know, like, that's my granddaughter. Like, don't mess with her. So ever since then, and I still see that lady to this day, every once in a while, she's older, of course. And she'll look at me and she'll go, hello. And I'll go, hello, how are you? But I still get the little tremble. But yeah, there are some really ugly families out there. And I
can just imagine. And I understand, yes, these people are, most of them are scared, right? A lot of the anger comes out really not towards the nurse, but they're just directing their own feelings out, right? Like they don't, because they may never have to experience this.
Yeah.
Your mic's about to.
Got
left.
Got it.
Yeah. So they're gonna they never experience anything like this. Sorry guys for listening. My mom almost dropped the brand new mic that we bought.
It's my brand new mic.
Yeah, it's a brand new mic by Shure. Thank you, Shure, for sponsoring.
Shout out to Shure if y'all want to send any free stuff.
Oh man. But no, exactly. So back to what we were saying, like people process stuff differently, right?
Yes.
Some internalize it. Some actually, externalize it by actually being vocal or physical.
And I can understand too, because that was their dad and they probably hated to see him like that. And back in the days, and it was sad. It was sad because he was he was a farmer and they said he was a hard worker. So I get it. And so I guess they'd come and they just they were just probably really sad. And they said, oh, look at that dummy. Let's just pick on her. What's she going to do?
You just said they're brand new nurse.
But I wouldn't cry. I would not cry in front of them. I cry in the restroom when they leave.
hey, don't worry. People still do that nowadays. Yeah. You don't show your weakness, right? But it's actually interesting you bring that up. It's actually interesting you bring that just so y'all know, my mom just dropped the mic and she caught it right now.
Sorry, my mic's going down. I'm clumsy.
Oh my goodness. So that actually brings us to a good thing. But I think another place that I've experienced, like I wouldn't say difficult family, but difficult patient was in the ER. And I know we all know in the ER, it can always
get rowdy.
It can go left or right, right? And then you go into a war zone. You coming in there like, I don't know what's gonna happen today. So I was working in this ER and they asked me, hey, can you go in the room? I think room 5 or room 6. Yeah. Can you go draw blood for them? I'm like, yeah, sure, no big deal.
Yeah.
Because how they say it is, hey, go start a line. So if someone comes in the ER, first things first. I mean, we do all basic labs, right? Because we just want to get a baseline, see what's going on.
Exactly.
So anyways, so she comes in and she comes in, so everybody who comes in, we do an EKG if they need one, if they have any chest pain, shortness of breath, and then we do lab work. And in the lab work, we also put start an IV on them, right?
Yeah.
So instead of just drawing labs, we'll just start IV just in case they need any meds on the line or just some fluid. So anywho, so I get in there. I have my kit with me, have my flushes. I'm a good little guy. I'm happy, be ready to go. And I look at her, and this lady.
Is it the patient or family member?
The patient. The patient looks like a balloon. She's so swollen on her arms.
Sorry, that's not meant to be funny. I'm just like.
No, it's funny.
She's
we
sick.
have to say
and she was probably.
For your nurses out there, you know who I'm talking about. You know exactly who I'm talking about.
She had too much salt.
Just a little too much salt, right? But no, so I'm looking at her and I'm like, all right, I got this. I mean, you gotta learn somehow, right?
Of course.
I mean, you're not always gonna have that perfect muscular arm with that big juicy AC right there. You could go 18 gauge in there. You know what I'm saying? But no, we can't do that. So, anyways, I'm looking at her arms. I'm like, all right, let's see which I can find.
You're praying, Jesus, please, Jesus,
please take the wheel. But anyways, I see one on her left forearm. I'm like, all right, I can do this. I see it, not too bad. I had to use 2 tourniquets to get that vein to pop out. And I found a cool trick. You can use alcohol swabs, and it for some reason it reflects the light and it makes the vein pop up. Yeah. And it's actually really interesting. Anyways, so I'm looking at her. I said, hey, I introduced myself. Hey, my name's Noah. I'm gonna start an IV on you and get some lab work. Is there anything I can do for you before I start? She looks at me, dead eyes. She's just like. Have you ever done this before? I'm like, yes, of course, plenty of times.
I did it on an orange and clinical the other day, and the orange was round just like you.
Oh my god! No. So I told her, yes, man, I've done it plenty of times. A tip I've heard from a very awesome ER tech over there told me. Never tell them how many times you've done it. Just tell them I've done plenty of times. I'm like, all right, cool. and so, I mean, you never asked me how many good ones have I started, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, so I'm like, all right, let's do this. So I find the vein. I'm going for it. And before I even start, she goes, you better not mess up. And I'm like, okay, yes, ma'am. And I'm trying to be as polite as possible, right?
Yeah.
Because I know what's wrong. She's probably having a bad day.
Yeah.
I mean, you're here in the ER. It's a bad day in general, right?
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who goes to the ER for fun.
Yeah.
Unless you got the sniffles. Anyways, that's a whole nother story right there for those people.
Or unless you want drugs.
Yeah, those the freaking flyers we get.
Yeah.
They have a punch card.
They want
anyways,
drugs. Okay.
So she's sitting there, and she looks at me right before I start. She goes, "Better not mess up." I'm like, "Yes, ma'am." And so I'm looking down, and it's 22 gauge, something simple, nothing too crazy. Because I was like, I saw it was a little vein. I was like, I ain't throwing no 20. I will bust that vein. So I was like, all right. So I got to pull the skin taut. Here I go. I poke her real quick. I got a flashback. I'm like, I'm praising God. I'm like, Lord Jesus, thank you so much for this flashback.
I'm going to church this Sunday, Lord.
And so, but as I start advancing that catheter off the needle, I just see that vein just, and I'm like, son of a biscuit. And I'm looking down her arm, right? And I look up at her, and she is glaring at me, this eyes, and she goes, I knew you would F it up. But she said the F word. And I'm like, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. And so I take it out, clean her up, and she's bleeding. And I walk outside. I'm like, I go to one of the nurses. I'm like, hey, can you help me? What happened? She's like, what happened? I'm like, told me I F up. And I messed up her vein. And she goes in and she gets it. But I mean, she was just looking, it just gets rude. I'm like, I understand you're in pain or whatever, but really you got cussing me like that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not my fault that I couldn't find a freaking vein to save your life. I mean, if it was me, I'd just put an IO in you. Just give me you threw the IO guns, put the IO in the leg, but no.
You should have said, I'm just a baby. No, I know. I get it.
That wasn't that funny, man. Okay. But then that brings another thing too. Like, you know how people also, why do people also get mad in the ER?
Because they are pissed because they're like, what's taking so long? Now we get it. Now look, I'm gonna throw my mom in this, okay? Grandma, if you listening. Sometimes my mom goes to the ER. She's like, hey, I'm gonna figure out what's wrong with me. And then she'll call me. I'm still in here. And I have to remind her, it takes long. You're not the only one getting labs sent because you got the whole hospital. And yes, granted, me and Noah understand there are some times where it's really crazy. We have a small hospital here, so the wait times aren't that bad. But I've heard in bigger hospitals, I had a friend tell me the other day, she said her grandma went to a San Antonio hospital, right? A big hospital. And she was in ER. She said that they drew her blood and they're like, everything from start to finish, we're so busy because it's the one that's like a learning hospital. So they get everybody off the streets, everybody. Yeah. They told her, and I couldn't stop laughing. I told my friend, I'm so sorry. She goes, it's going to be like 15 hours. And her grandma said 15 hours. So her grandma left with the IV still in her, and they had to go to a friend's house. I mean, to her niece's house.
Oh my, so you get the IV out?
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. I understand. We understand, but it's like she was obviously she was well enough to go. So, yeah.
But see, like, I understand people need to go. I understand people don't have the money for clinics or go to a doctor's office, and I understand that. But or
if your eye you shoot your eye out or something, we get it.
Yes, but I just wish those nurses, that I know one time I was working, I had a patient in one of the rooms, and she had the flu. Okay, it was the flu, and but she was having so much anxiety because of it. She was like, I can't breathe. So she was working herself up.
Yeah.
So we had on oxygen just to calm her down.
Yeah.
And we told her, hey, just relax. Everything's gonna work. It's just a flu. And so we leave the room, and then we get a trauma come in. And
exactly.
And through EMS, it was an active code. Yeah. We're all working him.
Yeah.
They were working him on the way in. We put him in the trauma bay. We're working him to death, right?
Yeah.
Every single buddy in there drops what they're doing to come help.
They do.
Right. So we worked him for maybe about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And God rest his soul, he didn't make it, right?
Yeah.
And so we were distraught.
And the whole time the lady is shivering and pissed off because
yeah. So we were distraught because you try, because you don't want nobody dying to watch.
Yeah, it's adrenaline.
And especially if you're right there working them.
Yeah.
And finally the doctor's like, hey, we're calling in. He's gone.
And it's not like you get adrenaline working up the flu lady. It's not like you're we got flu in bay 2.
Well, that's what I'm saying is
no, I know what you mean.
And so we get done. It's maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes goes by. Because we have to do now, get them ready for postmortem care.
Yeah,
and then the just on the who was it?
I like just the
It's one of the house soups. They come in because they have to do a kind of investigation. They have to make sure all this stuff. So we prepped the body, covered everything, and we closed the bay.
But it's a lot. I mean,
there's a lot of steps. If you die in a hospital, there's a lot of steps that goes into it.
And especially all the nurses are busy helping out.
And not just that, we had to contact the family, and we finally got hold of the family, and they're distraught. We're trying to comfort the family about everything. And so it's maybe 30, 35 minutes at this point, right?
Yeah.
We leave. And so they're like, hey, can you go give this one med to the flu lady?
Yeah.
And so I go in there and she is
mad,
pissed. She's like, where the heck were you? I was waiting for this medicine because I can't breathe.
Yeah.
But because of HIPAA, I can't say nothing.
Of course.
And because it's rude. But if I'm in my head, I'm saying,
and it's not her business.
If you
anyways.
only knew that we were all just trying to save a life. It's all priority, and that's ER.
Yes.
So if you go to ER and they tell you you check in. And what do? You go to triage, right?
Yeah, you get your vitals.
And the triage nurse, they're seeing, hey, what's going on? What's wrong with you? And they put you on a ranking system of, hey, this person needs to go back there right now, or this person can sit for a little bit.
Exactly.
And I'm just saying, don't get mad when they tell you to go sit outside for a little bit, because you don't know what's going on back there. And there's always somebody a little bit more sicker than you.
Or someone's coming into the ambulance bay. You don't know.
That's nothing that upsets me. People who call the ambulance thinking they're going to get in faster. No, you're not. You can go sit outside, because we've done that. We've actually said, you're not that bad. Go sit outside.
Yeah. But I totally get it. And like I said, there are instances where you're like, oh, I'm really sick, but I know.
Well, I did one of the hospitals in San Antonio I was working. They went on diversion because we had 48 holds in the ER. They had to go on diversion because
diversion means
so what diversion means is when the ambulance, when an EMS picks up somebody, they said they called the hospital in the ER. Hey, we're coming in route with. They give report a heads up, right?
Yeah.
Diversion, when they call, they tell them, hey, you cannot come here. We have no room. So they have to go to another hospital.
Which can take longer.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so we had 48 people waiting for beds in the hospital. That's how back up it was.
That's crazy.
And I'm saying, people well, where'd they go? I'm like, they can't go nowhere. There's no beds upstairs.
Exactly.
There was 18 just for ICU alone.
Yeah, I know. So we we're just saying, fam, hey, we've done it too. I've taken my boy. Well, I can't really say, because one time Noah fell and he thought he broke his arm, and I saw him swinging it around. I should have turned the car around. We didn't go to the ER. But we get it. When it's babies, you're real scared.
I got hairline fracture somewhere in there.
Yeah, but you know what? He's fine. He gave some Advil.
Exactly.
But so we were just talking about that. Yeah.
Oh man, well that pushes up to our next one.
Yeah.
So have you heard that there's a special medication out there for diabetics now? It's brand new.
And you can lose weight.
What is it?
Well, there are these 3 medications I know off the top of my head. Ozempic, Mounjaro, and Trulicity. So me and Noah were talking about medications. We were saying how those meds were really to help. First of all, diabetics to help with their, help, to help lower like the A1Cs.
Yes. And then, the A1C is over the 3-month period, right? It shows like you how well you're controlling it. Yes.
And what's crazy is, so people started, and I'm sure y'all heard about Hollywood, like they're taking all the Mounjaro and it's for people that need it. But anyways, so we were just talking about that. So they found out those meds have been helping significant weight loss. And so it's an injection you get, and it just depends how you get it. Some you start low, like a little low dose, like they say 2.5, and then after a couple weeks or whatever, how it is, and you keep going up. So and I personally have friends, and I'm not naming anybody, girl, okay? Anybody, boys and girls out there, but I think it's awesome because sometimes you just need that extra boost. So
just a little confidence. Like, hey, you're like, maybe I can do this, right? Yeah. But you know what's crazy about that medication? Is that, I guess we're finding out that a side effect, weight loss, right?
Yeah.
But did you know that, I don't even know this, but did you know Viagra, right? I think all the women know Viagra. All men knows Viagra,
I think a lot of people know that one.
Okay.
Little blue pill.
And you know how Viagra actually came to be? So the Pfizer medication company, they were actually looking for a new high blood pressure medication. And it was for high blood pressure medication to lower the blood pressure and also to help with angina, which is the chest pain. Yeah. Well, they made this medication and they found that a side effect caused, raising the flag. That thing was nice and strong.
Hey, can you imagine that conversation with your doctor? And your doctor's like, so how are you doing on your Viagra?
Well, no, think about it, because you know how they do trials, right? They give people placebos and then they have to ask them, hey, like, what are your side effects afterwards, right? And and think about it. Everyone's like, I had an erection for 4 days straight.
Yeah, I know. So now all these older men are getting sugar mom. They're getting
oh my gosh. Oh my god. Whatever.
They're sugar daddies. But that's true. That's true about meds. A lot of different things. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's a good one. But that's crazy for that diabetic medication, isn't it?
Yeah, I want to try it.
Oh gosh.
I want to try it. Shout out to my doctor if you're listening. I'm trying to make an appointment and we'll be discreet.
I'm like, hey, yo, doc, I ain't got diabetes right now, but you just have it, all right?
Hey, and and I'm like, I should be covered because I will say this, I'm not hip on myself because I do have diabetes, so I think I could go from that.
Oh man, all right. Okay, so that brings us to our last part, man.
Yeah.
So I want to give a little tip real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
I learned and for past experience in working ICU, you're in ICU.
Yeah.
If you have any patients who are on any type of pressors, Levofed, vasopressin, anything that is gonna Levofed is actually Levofed is the main one. It's norepinephrine. That's a generic name.
And these meds do what?
So what Levofed does, it's the first line of defense of increasing someone's blood pressure.
Yeah.
So when they're bottoming out, a Levo drip is what's going to keep them up, and you titrate this. So usually the best things possible is to have an art line, which is actually monitoring their blood pressure in real time. And it's in real time, right?
Yeah.
So you're titrating by 0.02 micrograms.
Yeah.
And you were watching the blood pressure, the map go up, or go down.
Cool.
Go down. It's real time, right?
Yeah.
So if your patient is on Levo, make sure you order that second bag of Levo so it's in the room on standby. Because if that medication runs dry, that patient's going to go bottom out and you're going to have a real problem in your hands because now you're trying to rush and try to find some Levo.
Yeah.
So
just keep it.
All you IC nurses out there, make sure you have, and even ER too, if you got a patient down there that's on Levo, make sure you have a second bag ready to go. Because if that bag's out, you're in a world of pain.
A little bit that's scary.
Yeah, it is very scary. But that patient survived.
Awesome. I know
So what do you have us for today?
Well, I just wanted to give y'all, I'm an encourager. Like I just gave my other son some encouragement earlier. He was a little down and I've always been an encourager. So I did tell him this story the other day, but I've heard it a long time ago and I wanted to share it with y'all. So it was a young boy and he was on the beach and I don't know if y'all heard it or not, but anyways, so he's on the beach and let's just say he's 10, he's inquisitive. He's looking around. And this old man's walking and he's looking at him like, what is he doing? And this little boy is throwing starfish back in the water. They're all over on the beach. And the old man is thinking, what is this kid doing? There are thousands of them. He's never going to, put them all in the water. So he goes up to that little boy, probably sarcastically and said, what are you doing? He goes, I'm throwing them back in the water. He goes, well, you better hurry up because by high noon, they're going to dry out.
Yeah.
Because they're in the water. And he goes, why are you doing that? And the little boy got one. He flung it in the air. I can imagine it landing in the wave. And he goes, well, it helped that one. It did for that one. So the moral of that is every little bit counts.
Exactly.
So just doing something to make a positive change is always better than nothing. And I did tell my son this the other day. He was telling me, he kind of doubled down and said, I feel like I'm not doing nothing. Like I'm not I guess he kind of felt like maybe just not doing anything, accomplishing in the world.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, you just being kind. Are you doing one little act a week, a day, paying for someone's coffee, just be nice, smiling. No one talks to each other. How are you doing? You doing all right? You look nice today. I said, little things like that matter. You're not saving the world. You're not meant to be, out, doing missionary work, but just that it's going to count for that person. So I thought that was a kind of a cool story.
Awesome. Exactly. Yeah. If you can't do anything, just at least help something. One, at least one.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Well, that is pretty much all for our show today. I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank you for supporting us.
Thank y'all so much.
For as much as this may be fun for y'all, this is very fun for us. And also it's for us, it's therapeutic. It allows us to get stuff off our mind, get stuff off our hearts that we may be dealing with, right?
Yes.
Because we may never, only nurses know what we deal with inside the actual hospital,
exactly.
right? Or at home health or someplace.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's dealing with death, dealing with difficult families. And sometimes you don't feel needed or wanted, but I want to tell you, you are, and you're doing great.
Yes.
Never stop. Keep going. Go with God. And remember from last week's episode, the shortest distance is just from your knees to the floor. And I want to thank y'all, and I want to have a great day. Remember, don't forget, episode comes out Monday mornings.
Thanks, guys. You have a great week.